Welcome into Horsepower Happenings. Great show coming up tonight, and we'll talk with Johnny VanDoorn of VanDoorn Racing Development. Big weekend for them, and then who knows what's going to unfold with Max Stambaugh and Gregg Dalman, all that coming up. But first, here's what's happening in a Motor City Minute from Bristol. Kyle Larson, one spot, one division, if you will, short of the sweep again. Friday night, the trucks, Chandler Smith gets the win, and then Larson takes care of business in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. I want to talk to Rich about the Cup Series race coming up in just a moment. World of Outlaws late models, Farmer City, the Illini 100 weekend. Brandon Shepard drove from 11th to pick up his fourth Illini 100 on Saturday. His first win since the Gateway Dirt Nationals back in December, and it didn't come without some dramatics. Find the video on social media. He made a little bit of a scene on Friday night, and it was bring out the broom time at Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. This was the Hudson O'Neal Show both nights of the 12th annual Spring Nationals this weekend. Huddy racked up $27,000 thanks to his efforts. And Bubba Pollard picks up the win at Mobile International Speedway. The reason for us talking to Johnny VanDoorn a little bit later on. And Rich, how about Tony Stewart? We almost missed this. Tony Stewart gets his first career NHRA Top Fuel win in the Four Wide Nationals at Las Vegas. Those things and so much more happening in a Motor City Minute. Good evening, welcome in. I'm Zach Heiser. He's Rich France. What do you think about that, sir? The big old man got a big win over the weekend.
That's a way to do it at the Four Wide Nationals, man. That is tough, right?
Kind of ironic that the sprint car guy got his first NHRA win at the Four Wide Nationals.
Yeah, I did. I mean, you think of Tony Stewart, and you don't think, he's going to have a first of anything anymore. But man, it didn't take very long, did it?
I mean, some people will say it took longer than it should have, and blah 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 blah. Well, let's just all remember here that that's not Tony's discipline. Okay, that's not what he does on a regular basis. So I'm happy for him. I think it's great. New discipline of racing, new dad, wife, which I guess came before the new dad part, and now a winner in the NHRA. What's that guy? I mean, he's not missing anything.
No, I guess it's not a new discipline anymore, right? Now that he's got a win, now
Right.
he's, I guess he understands exactly how that stuff works. So,
Yeah.
I guess he was getting bored running dirt, so he decided to go drag stripping.
All right. Now I wanted to ask you, NASCAR on Sunday. Did you take that in? The racing from Bristol. Did you get a chance to watch the racing from Bristol?
I did not.
I took, for the first time in quite some time, I took my Sunday and I sat down at the TV with Fox, FS1, and I watched probably 440, 410 laps of the 500 lap race.
You're a better man than I.
I had to eat a little bit of crow because I am one of the people who say, bring back the Gen 4 style of racing. Give me the long green flag runs. Give me, spread out with. Now, I am of the minority that I enjoyed Sunday's race, which at one point there was one car on the lead lap, Rich, and that was Ryan Blaney during a pit stop cycle, stayed out. Everybody else went in. Heartbreak for Carson Hocevar, who had a car possibly capable of winning. The jack falls out from under the car during the green flag stop, goes 2 laps down. His race is over. That is kind of what I remember the early 2000s NASCAR that everybody says they want back being like, that it would be right around the bottom, sometimes around the top, spread out, long green flag runs, and strategy would kind of come into play. That's what I remember. And then everybody's on social media on Monday saying that was the worst Bristol race they'd ever seen, and NASCAR's garbage and this, that, and the other thing. You can't have it both ways. You didn't get a chance to watch the race, so I guess you probably can't weigh in too much. But I think I was okay with the product I saw on Sunday. Just flat out, I was okay with it.
No, I think I didn't get a chance to see it, but I read a lot of the comments about the races, right? I have a lot of friends that follow it, and Zach, I think everybody's just looking for something to complain about these days. I mean, I think that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to, win for losing.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not my genre of racing anymore. I don't prefer it. I have a lot of other interests that I like more than that, so it's not on the top of my list. But when I was driving and I didn't have all this other stuff to do, then it was nice to sit back on a Sunday and watch a race
Right.
and just relax after racing on Saturday or racing on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So, but now there's so much other stuff that piques my interest. That's like that's like fourth or fifth down the list now on a Sunday.
All right. Well, let's get into the local stuff going on this weekend. We had racing in our area for the first time in quite some time, and officially, we got racing kicked off in the state of Michigan thanks to Crystal Motor Speedway and their massive program on Saturday, Rich. I went up there to do a little PR work for the Great Lakes Super Sprints. The place was packed, crawling with fans, couldn't find a space to park. Just a great problem to have for opening night there at Crystal Motor Speedway.
You knew that was coming, right?
Oh, absolutely. We got there, Rich. We knew the gates were going to open at 4, so we got there at 3 to get set up, and they were at the gate waiting to get in. And I thought, how about that? The tailgaters, the beer was flowing, the hot dogs were on the grill, and there were people in line at 3 o'clock waiting for the okay to come through the gate. And I just thought that was great. Now we have covered Crystal Motor Speedway for quite some time on this show. Rich, I want to point this out to our faithful listeners and our faithful viewers. By the way, find our shows now on YouTube. One feature event winner on Saturday at Crystal came from the front row. One. And it was a mini wedge show. That track on Saturday was racy, and it was a darn good program. Brandon Thurlby, who we were going to have on the show tonight, but he became ill, came from 9th to pick up the win in dramatic fashion. He and Mike Vandermark at one point in a great battle with Slide Job City held off Eric Spangler, who came from 5th to finish 2nd. Mike Vandermark Jr. from 8th to finish 3rd. Derek Hilliker 6th to 4th. Logan Nickerson 5th in this one. David Hilliker, Will Stanley from 17th, by the way, plus 10 for Will Stanley. Brenton DeYoung, who picked up a ride, who we know is in that yellow number 55D, 8th this race on Saturday. Ryan Paradise from 18th to 9th, and then 10th, Riley Bowen from 13th to finish out the top 10. IMCA Modified's Austin Harnick, all the way from 12th, was able to get a little bit of luck on his side. Tough break for Chase Roseborough. Did not pass the droop check in post-race technical inspection. That's an automatic deduction of two positions. So Austin Harnick, by default, gets the win and will officially be credited for coming from 12th to grab the win. Jeff Rhea, who we had on the program last week, how about 8th to 2nd for the opening night? Nathan Patrick.
He almost got him.
Almost. Nathan Patrick 4th. Cody Johnson from 2nd to 5th. Mitchell Hunt, Casey Smith, Myron DeYoung, Austin Wanch, and Bree Wanch finished out the top 10 in IMCA Modified. So there you go.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of the video highlights from wherever they came from on social media today. Boy, did Brandon Thurlby have that thing hooked up in 1 and 2 on the top side.
I know.
When he went by Eric Spangler, and Spangler was on the bottom, I think that was early in the race. He just rocket shipped down the backstretch off of 2, and I was like, this isn't even funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just different. And Brandon had that thing hooked up, no doubt in my mind. That's why he picked up the win.
Other feature winners from the night, Gary Vandermark from 7th to grab the street stock win. Ron Flynn Sport Compacts went to Mike Courier. Now he came from 3rd, closest winner so far to the front. Kyle Hunt from 9th picks up the Pro Stock and Pro Truck feature win. And then here it is, Cade Fiddler from the outside of row number 1 to victory lane in the mini wedge 6 to 9-year-old. And Lucas Lanfeard from 4th grabs mini wedge 10 to 14-year-old feature win to open up the season. So there we go. We are rolling in Michigan. Racing is underway.
So you showed up at the racetrack, Zach. You walked in there. You got out of the car. Did you get a tear in your eye?
A
little bit.
Goosebumps, and sometimes goosebumps can get pretty extreme. So
Finally, you didn't just have to talk about racing. You got to see some.
Got to actually see some. So there you go. Elsewhere, practice. Yes, we're talking about practice. Kalamazoo Speedway, Mount Pleasant Speedway among the facilities. I-96 Speedway among the facilities, Rich, to host some practice days, which don't count as race days, but anytime you can get the smell, the aroma, get some dirt in your face, and see the cars go around in a circle, that's a good day.
Yeah, this is the time of the year when that starts happening, because another week or two and everybody's racing.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have a ton more to cover in just a couple weeks here, but Yeah, everybody getting out there. I mean, everybody's been in the shop all winter long. They like to get out, get everything shaken down, see what they got for 2025.
Down in Ohio, the Montpelier Motor Speedway, promoted by the Milkman again this season with a full schedule. They got underway on Saturday. Our correspondent, Cody Geyer, was down there. He wasn't posting on our behalf, but go check out his page, KG Media. He's got some great photos from the weekend. Rusty Schlenk, the McClure, Ohio driver, started on the pin, led all 40 en route to the feature win, held off Todd Brennan, Chad Finley, Steve Peden, and Blake Creech for the win. Colin Shipley, Dusty Moore, Nick Kurtz from 13th to 8th, Clayton Bryant, and Wayne Chin round out the top 10 in the Dirt Car Super Late Model portion of things. And no surprise to anybody who follows modifieds in Indiana, Todd Sherman grabbed the Dirt Car UMP modified feature win over Dylan Nussbaum, Dustin Moore, Cole Sink, Dalton Smith, Tony Anderson, Drew Charlson, Terry Schroff, Chris Kittle, Josh Malott rounded out the top 10. So racing down in Montpelier.
Zach, what do you think, man? We're just not getting barely started, and man, Rusty's got three fingers taken care of already this season, and we're not even into the meet yet. What do you think?
I know it's great for that team, and you know what? I was talking to somebody on Saturday. They came up to me and we were talking about horsepower happenings. And by the way, thank you, I appreciate that, Rich. I know it happens to you too. They pull us aside and hey, great job, love what you're doing. We love to hear that because if we don't hear that, all you are numbers. All we see are, well, you had 300 listeners this week and 400 last week, and, or you're just clicks. So it's nice to talk to you and shake your hand and hear that you like what we're doing. But Rusty's in the business of selling race cars. So that's what he's trying to do. So those wins, having the boys run good, those are good things for him.
Yeah, the only bummer was Carter blew the motor
Yeah,
down at Montpelier. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a pretty bummer. And you know what was cool? He bought that motor himself
Really?
with his yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
saw Danny's post about, the mom, the heartbroken mom that the motor expired. What was it? Only a couple of laps into the night, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it did, but yeah, down at Montpelier it happened, and yeah, so I mean, they're going to try to do what they can. I mean, they don't just have motors sitting around the shop anymore where
Right.
they have access to them. So
Right.
they'll come up with something, get the young man back out there.
All right. Speaking of domination race cars, and again, I said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if Rusty remembers that he said that he would probably do this, but I'm holding him to it. Domination race cars power rankings will be out this week, Rich. That's right. It is time. We had dirt late model racing in the state of Michigan, so the power rankings will be out. It is the easiest that it will be all season for the domination race cars power rankings. Brandon Thurlby at the top, Eric Spangler second, Mike Vandermark third, Derek Hilliker, Logan Nickerson, David Hilliker, Will Stanley, Brenton DeYoung, Ryan Paradise, and Riley Bowen, the top 10 right now in the power rankings.
If you finish top 10 at Crystal, you are in the power rankings. You should be proud of yourself, guys.
It's just the intensity is going to pick up as the season goes on. And
oh, yes, it will. Yes, it will.
And you know what? It's a competition, which is funny because we've got a really simple way that we do this, right? We award points based on the amount of cars that show up, and that's the way we've found to make it the easiest. Woo! By about June, our inbox is just flowing, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah, everybody when it gets down towards the end of the season, everybody forgets how fun it was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Now I get texts. Hey, I haven't seen the power rankings. How come they're not out yet? Where am I at? And I'm like, really?
Right. It'll be okay.
This doesn't pay anything, right?
That's right. That's right. Hey, maybe we can get with our friends at Going Green Trophies, and maybe we can make something out of it this year, and actually get some.
Yeah, at least get them a trophy or
put
something.
out, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be pretty cool?
Yeah.
Well, it is time for one of my favorite segments on Horsepower Happenings because I get to step back a little bit and watch Max go to work, which is always a lot of fun. It's time for the MadMax moment presented by Jim Coffee and Son Plumbing and Heating. Max Stambaugh, welcome in, my friend.
Hey, Zach, what's going on?
Living the dream. It is race week. So I'm just smiling ear to ear. I can't wait. We got rained out last week at I-75. Went up to Crystal, saw those guys, and they're ready. We're ready. It's good. We're ready to rock. What about you?
Yeah, building race cars.
Yeah.
No. Rebuilding race cars, Max.
Yeah.
How you feeling, bud? You all right?
Everything's good. Pride's hurt, but we're good. Decided to go race on a limb there, and Obviously didn't work out in our favor, but thankful for Steve and the resources he has. And it's been a week. Trust me, it's probably a good thing 75 rained out for us. I mean, we would have been ready, but I would say we're back to normal now.
Real quick
He had a
before
top
we
10 the first. I was just gonna say, Zach, he had a top 10 the first night, so I think you finished seventh. That wasn't so bad, was it?
Yeah, we were okay. It's a draw format down there, and we drawed spectacular both nights, which that's not an excuse. Just got to get better. And then the second night, a guy spun out in front of me, and I did see the light pole flipping, but I didn't hit that. But I think I hit everything else.
before we bring in the Bulldog, I wanted to ask you about putting Steve in the car on Sunday at 96. How was that for you? Steve had a great career on the asphalt in open wheel. What was it like for you, kind of being his driver and convincing him to get behind the wheel on Sunday?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I've heard a lot of stories, but never saw Steve drive. And we built a car this week and saw 96 had that test and tune. Actually, Greg told me about it, and I'm like, hey, probably a good idea to go up there and at least cut some laps. And had to talk him into it. Got him in there for about 10 laps. So he looked pretty good. He got on the gas a little bit. I think he scared himself a little bit. And he said he'll do it again in a couple of years.
All right, well, let's bring this program full circle. The Mad Max moment presented by Jim Coffee and Son Plumbing and Heating. We've I don't know, we haven't reached the end of our guest list, but it was a good time to bring this cat back on. So let's get started.
Yeah, I figured it was fitting with the Great Lakes starting in Michigan this week. Want to get Gregg Dalman on here again. We're going to Crystal, a place that he's had a lot of wins with a wing and without a wing. So wanted to see what Greg's up to and see what off season's been like and how the trucking career going. So Gregg, what's going on, man?
Not much, Max. Just getting ready. Hopefully, the weather holds off for us this weekend, but we'll see.
Yeah, so I think you'll be the first one to admit, last year maybe a tough year for you. You had a really good run at Tri-City there. I think you kind of showed me the bottom that one time when you peeked the nose on me, and luckily a yellow come out and then took advantage of that. But coming off of a tough year, this off season and stuff. I mean, what are you looking like coming out of the gate this year?
I mean, last year it was tough, and we just wanted it over with because it's just hard to get your momentum back, built up. Once you're struggling and you're racing every night, every weekend. So no, it was good to end last year, and we ended, and then hopefully we come out of the box decent, and that's what we're hoping for, and a lot better than what we have been the last 2 years. We've been struggling with our program, but I think we found some issues, and hopefully we can get back going.
Yeah, I talked to you quite a bit, and I was at Test and Tune Sunday. One of the wins I was looking up today when I was doing some stat checking on you, I wanted to bring up was the guy that the boots guy Austin that helped you, Bob Austin, for a long time. There's a picture on Google of you and Bob Austin. It's a Crystal MTS show, and the trophy looks like it's taller than you. Take us the trip down memory lane. Let's hear about that night.
Oh yeah, it it was a Crystal Motor Speedway. Yeah, I think it was a Great Lakes night, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was a pretty good night there. I can't remember the race too much, but I remember Bob Austin wearing those boots with those socks pulled up to his knees, and yeah, he was a good guy, good dude there. We had a hell of a lot of fun together. Me, him, and Jason Fawzi. We done a lot of racing together.
You do something that's very, gosh, I think Max probably would love to be able to do something like this. Not that his current situation isn't great, but he's kind of alluded to it before. You and your son go up and down the road, you run race cars, you drink beer, you pick on women, and you just do it all over again every single week. I mean, what kind of a dream have you been living these last couple of years, really kind of since your son's graduated high school and things like that, that's what you guys do. He is your crew guy, and he makes sure that you're out there doing the best that you can do. How much fun have you had doing that?
Oh, it's been awesome. And then, I mean, when I had my nephew, Jack Dalman, the modified guy, running together, those two 18, 19-year-old guys running with me, and we're going up and down the road just chasing a dream. And it was good. it was good times. Then now with me and my son, it's even better. I mean, he's getting older, and people say, "Why don't you throw him in the car?" He doesn't want nothing to do with the wheel.
Have you given him that opportunity? Have you asked him?
Yeah, all several times, willing to give the wheel up. Hey, you want to try this? No, I'm better off doing what I'm doing, Dad. I can't afford Ford. He said, I see the money you have to whip out to keep this thing going. He said, I don't have that kind of money. So, I mean, at least he's honest and, humble about it.
Greg, you talked about the end of last season, couldn't wait till it ends, but you always get back to victory lane when you go through a frustrating spell. Does that make the wins more, I don't know, valuable, make you feel better after, when you fix a problem and you come back? And does it make you feel like twice as good that, you found something in your, and I tease you a lot about when you're going to be done, but you're not done yet.
No, we got a few. I mean, the wins now are if you win now, it's incredible because the competition's just stepped up totally. I mean, we've got 12, 15 guys at night that could win this deal. Just, starting positions, everything. Our struggling has been the stretch right now has been on a pretty good stretch. It's a long deal right now. 2.5, almost 3 years. I think.
Does it go back to 22? Is that the last one?
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, we're due. I mean, we got to get her back going again. But like I said, the competition's even changed. I mean, now it's positioning of the cars where we're at. I believe it's a firm believer that I don't think anybody's going to be winning from 12th on back. Not these shows.
I didn't think it was that long since Zach got his big old bear hug at I-96. Has it been that long?
Yeah. When was the last one, Greg? I don't remember. Was it Thunderbird or 96? Was it?
No, I had one.
Was it 96 when Max blew it off the top of 4 trying to get you there? Was that the last one?
I think it was Thunderbird.
Was it the Bird?
No, actually, we had one after that. We got one at Hartford 2 weeks after.
Okay.
The one at 96.
Clearly a memorable win for all of us on the panel.
That was a good one. I do remember that one. I think everyone remembers that one, especially Greg. But we sit here and we say, hey, he's struggling, blah blah blah. But then take the other side of that, Greg. You're top 5 in the Michigan points last year, top 5 in the tour. Really, I know how much you want to win. That's why I say you struggle a little, but really, it's not that bad. I wanted to hit on that a little bit because racing will beat you up. But Greg, did you change much up this off season? You got the same motor combination? You got any different cars? I mean, what are you thinking you're going to come out with this year?
I think we got the same cars, basically same Maxima cars and all that. Same motors, they're a little fresh, shock package is different. Bar packages are different. I think, and me personally, I'm not so mentally beat up on myself like last year. Like I said, we could never get out of that rut once you get into it, and you're racing weekend, every night, every Friday, Saturday, and then most Sundays there too. We were doing at the end of the year. So I think now, going into it with a clear head and hopefully the results are there.
What did you, I was just going to ask this, Max, as a piggyback, because what helped you? Like, I feel like if you went into an off season kind of in a rut and feeling like you were struggling, that I would be kind of stuck in that the whole off season. Did you find something? You talk about amping up your shock package program, and I think you and I talked that. Did you find something out this off season that you kind of were like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now I'm fired up to get back behind the wheel.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have to give the
there's a few
away.
Things,
I'm just asking.
Right. Yeah. There's a few things that we did find. I mean, that we were lacking, missing, and that's what's got me excited getting back into it because I really think that's been our Achilles tendon the whole time. I think we got it figured out. So hopefully we can come out on Saturday night and hopefully get a good result.
Greg, I think it's a big deal. You want to come out early and set a tone that you guys are back, right? You don't want to start this, kind of picking up where you left off because that could make for another long season. So you want to be strong right out of the gate your first few starts.
Yeah, Rich. Then that sets the tempo for the you just keep building the momentum. And then in these games, this racing deal, it's a momentum thing. I mean, look at some of the top guys now. It's just that's what they do. They roll in, and the momentum just carries them. So I'm excited. Really, be honest with you. Starting our 27th year, I'm excited. I mean, I know I'm an old boy, but I think we still can get her done.
Max, I want to go to you in just a second, but I want to pay a bill first. This, of course, Mad Max moment brought to you by Jim Coffee and Son Plumbing and Heating. And since 1955, Mid Michigan has relied on Jim Coffee and Son Plumbing and Heating. Fully licensed and insured, they are servicing homes, apartments, schools, offices, shops, and so much more. With free estimates and a rapid response time, Jim Coffee and Son Plumbing and Heating can repair leaks, water heater exchanges, install tankless water heaters, sump pumps, boilers, waterline excavation, and more. Call 517 764 7575. That's 517 764 7575 for Jim Coffee and Son Plumbing and Heating. Max?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to hit on what Greg was talking about. Was I think in racing right now, a lot of things are changing. The tires, the wings are being built different. I mean, we went down. I've raced some this year, Mississippi and Florida once, and the Carolinas, and I felt like the way I ended the year last year in the 71, I was like, man, I'm really going into the winter thinking I got something going here for a while, and you go down to the Carolinas, and you're sixth in hot laps, and you're 3/10 off, and 3/10 not might not sound like a lot, but me and Greg know that's a lot. And I think that's something about Greg is, you get comfortable. Like you said, he's been doing this for 47 years. So, he gets comfortable with what he does in a race car in that field. Well, he's missing that feel. And that's something I wanted to hit on is, Greg Dalman didn't forget how to, drive a sprint car. But today's sprint car racing, you have to have a car that's close to compete, right? And Zach, not only, I mean, you guys changed the format, so now we're straight up. So it's now you got to be when you unload out of the trailer. If you're 3/10 off in hot laps, you better start cranking some wrenches, right, Greg?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, 3/10 is going to be huge. I mean, especially with the competition level we got, 3/10 it'll ruin your night right there. The 2 laps are going to be everything right off the bat. Which the outlaw guys, they're used to that and all that. And then when we're qualifying against the field now instead of the group, so that's going to open a can of worms too on things. So depending on where you draw for the qualifying, if you're up front in the track soupy or if it's dry, whatever. I mean, you know how that factor is it's gonna factor into our qualifying.
I
Go
I
ahead,
think a
Max.
lot of things are going to change, and I was very fortunate last year to have a lot of quick times, and Zach, that's kind of why I went to 96 Sunday was to work on a package for qualifying. Back in the day, qualifying wasn't very important in our group. As long as you were in that top, oh, what was it? Top 12 or something was the invert number, and I remember for a long time I was qualifying with a 2-inch wicker bill. Just for an example, just because I didn't even want to go quick time, I wanted to be 7, 8, 9, 10 because your night got made a little easier. So, Greg, I hope you unload a crystal with a 1-inch wicker bill and a D1090 left rear ready to rip, bud.
D1090, right? Yeah,
Greg, does
yeah.
can and I'm asking because it's what everybody's talking about, and it's kind of I have this weird dynamic where I want to talk about it, but I'm also kind of helping make some of those decisions. Do you feel like the racer in you can make up for that? If the track really blows off during qualifying, and you get stuck in fifth or sixth in your heat race, does that play into a guy like you who maybe isn't and don't take this, but there are gassers that only know how to put it's a light switch. You just put the thing to the floor and see what it does. And then there are guys like you. We pick on you for being a bottom feeder, but you're a really technical racer. Can that play into your hand to make up some spots in a heat race where the gassers are at the front and now they're just blowing the rear tire off of it?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm kind of curious on that too, and I think a lot of the fans and even you guys, as you know, as the people that run this deal and make the rules and all that, staff. So I think it's it's going to be like Barry's famous word, data. Well, here we go. We're going to go see if a guy can come from fifth. I don't know. I mean, with the competition level and the cars being as equal as they are, I mean, you're going to have to get up on the wheel and you're going to have to make some holes, And I do think it can be done, but there might be a price at it too. I mean, that's,
Greg,
I think that's.
Yeah, I'm a fan. No, I was just curious because I've never been a fan of all my years of racing, of at least in our type short track racing, dirt, pavement, whatever, of the fastest guy starting up front. I think it takes away from the show. I think fast qualifiers, you're almost giving them feature wins, and everybody else is fighting for second through top tens, right? Do you
Right.
see that as a problem? Or I mean, I'm a fan of either an invert or a redraw. That's how I would prefer.
Don't forget now, I got to step in here as GM. We do redraw.
I don't work for GLSS. I can say what I want.
We do redraw for the feature. I'm just going to say that. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we do redraw for the feature. And Rich asking that question, I'm not even really sure what the format should be, or an invert, or how it should be. I mean, I've been doing this, for 27 years. We've done the passing points. We've done, in 360 racing. I'm not sure what the answer is right now. I mean, I understand that straight up racing, as far as the big boys, I mean, most people, they watch qualifying and then heat races, they know it's going to be from the front row unless somebody gets a real wild hair, but that doesn't happen usually with the outlaws or high limits. So I mean, with 360 racing, well, I guess we'll see where it goes.
Well, and I think and let me throw this caveat in. The World of Outlaw guys, and Max, you can weigh in on this too, because obviously you've traveled and you've run, with some of these big level shows, just like Greg has in his years. Those guys are going to tracks that are juiced up right until the feature, and then they've even got juice in them for the first 15, 20 laps of a 40-lap show before they finally slick off or get into lap traffic. And where sprint car racing is right now, you need that aerodynamic brake. You need the leader to get into lap traffic on almost any show that I've seen with World of Outlaws or Fast or anybody like that. You need the leader to get to lap traffic for the race to start. I wonder if in our region there's enough sandy racetracks or tracks that just don't have that facility that's capable of having a juiced up racetrack, if it will allow us to have a little bit better product straight up than maybe the other guys. I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to advocate for what our decision we've made, but I do believe I can make this kind of, I can look at this objectively a little bit and wonder, if our tracks will slick off quick enough that maybe the show is going to be good doing it this way.
Yeah, with us qualifying against the field, that's totally different what the Outlaws and stuff do too. So I mean, that's going to be, like I said, the draw where you're going to qualify at, like we roll into a track that's dry right off the bat, that could uh, plague some people. I mean, as far as if you go out first, you're going to get that little bit of moisture that's left in the facility. And then there's, a guy, let's say there's 35 cars and the guy draws last. Is he going to come out and set quick time? I doubt it. He's going to pay hell even, to make the top two rows anyways, really.
Greg made a good point there, because just like last week or 2 weeks ago, I go down USCS racing, which is 360. So like, I agree with what Greg's saying. For 360 racing, I don't think anybody knows what the right answer is yet, right? Because we're not 410s. We can't kick it into the cushion. I mean, when you hit the cushion at 360, it's plugging. You get into the cushion at 410, like Danny Sams talks. I mean, watch him on TV. He gets right out of it and drives away. My example is, the draw. No, I'm going to tell you absolutely not, because just like me,
a race car in one of those draws.
I just completely. I mean, I didn't just flip a race car. Let me tell you, I think the only thing good out of it was the seat and the steering wheel. I think Steve was very impressed on that one. But there's drawback to every single deal. I think at the end of the day, Zach, like we've talked before, the cream always rises to the top, right? I think the good guys are going to figure it out. I think a guy like Gregg Dalman, if he's going to have nights where he hits the front row, he's going to be in that top six. So a lot of these short tracks do fit Gregg's driving. Um, there's going to be nights where Gregg's starting fifth in a heat race, and he's going to, like he said, he's going to have to make some holes and make something happen, because if you go out and say you take 4 to the A or 5 and you get fourth, you're starting 12th, and like he said earlier, I don't think you're winning a race from 12th right now with our group. So a lot of things are changing. I think it's for the good. Some of it I think it's for the bad, but it makes it for a good show.
And Max, we've talked about this. It could be a problem. The air off of these cars, if you're too far back, even if you have a good car, you still may not be able to go anywhere with all the air going on in front of you all over the racetrack.
Well, and I think if I'm a nobody, right? Me and Gregg are, truck
Hey,
drivers.
now you don't lump Gregg into that. Gregg's a somebody. You talk for yourself, damn it.
All right. Well, you listen to the professionals, and a lot of them are saying the same thing, Rich. A lot of them are saying, do we change the wicker bill rule to no wicker bill? Completely take it away. And I think these cars have so much traction right now that yeah, they do, but they don't. But it's hard to make up ground. And I mean, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, we had different tires. Well, they did. I wasn't racing yet. There's a lot going on right now, and it'll be interesting to see how these next couple years play out.
Gregg, I'm going to ask you one more question directly, and then we got to probably put a bow on this with one more from Max. I talked to Dustin Daggett. Gosh, I don't know. It's been a couple of months ago. And he said something I thought was kind of profound. He wishes, with the competition that we had today, that 20 to 25-year-old Dustin Daggett could race against these kids in this equipment, because the talent and the competition is so good and is so aggressive right now. I guess just your reaction to that statement, do you relate to that at all?
Yeah, very true. I mean, back in the heydays of making stuff happen. I mean, now I don't know. I think the cars are too equal, to be honest with you right now. I mean, now it's basically like you said, you guys both said, these young guys get in, put it right to the wood and hang on. And if you get the setup right, and I think starting positions, everything and going on right now, all the way through sprint car racing, don't matter. You're starting up in the front, two, 3 rows, you got a shot. I think if anything back behind that, yes, it's been done, but not very much. But yeah, Dustin's right on that. I mean, we're all getting older. I mean, even him, his driving style's changed over the years. Mine has. I mean, I think with age that hampers us, old guys, I want to say, but I don't know. I mean, I think we still got, the old guys have still got it. The Phil Gressman, the Dustin Daggett, the Gregg Dalmans. I think we still can run wheel to wheel with these young guys.
I'm sitting here thinking about Jason Blonde, who got his first career 360 win last year at 96.
No, Jason. Yep. I was searching for another one in there. Yep, Jason in there too. It's like I said, we're all getting up there now, and these young guns coming up, and it's good to run with them. The guys that respect their equipment and the other fellow competitors. You got some of them guys running on unlimited budgets that don't care where they throw it into, and then you're there and it happens to tear a lot of stuff up. So, but yeah, I mean, Dustin's, for going back to Dustin, he's hit it right on the head. Back in the day, the old 24, I was 29 when I first started, yes, things were a lot different back then.
Well, Gregg, I got one more question for you. It's been fun getting you on here. You're a good person for the sport. I count a handful of guys out there, and the sport needs people like you. You're racing. You keep it in the family. That's awesome. And I think everyone knows, when the 49T rolls into the track with the red dually hanging out, he's got a case of beer on him, which that's why we park together. Gregg, let's hear it. What is the goal for 2025 for GDR Racing? Where do you want to put yourself this year, and where do you see yourself going?
I really want to be in contention every night. I want to be competitive every night. I mean, I know we're not going to win every night, but I want to be competitive. I want to get out of that car and say, you know what, damn, just wish had a little bit more. You're not going to win every night. You know that. You get out. I mean, you had experience in championships. There's some nights you just get out and hey, that's the best I've done. But at least you know you were competitive. You went back and you and Steve talked about it, and then like me and Keegan, we talk about it, and that's what I want. Is just to get back up there where we're a threat. That's what I want. Where we
You
roll in,
do
we
we
can get it up front.
do we plan on burning the place down at Thunderbird this year or what?
With that 49 T's in Victory Lane, there's going to be a lot of burning down.
Thunderbird, Hartford, 96 if she's in your wheelhouse, and Crystal. Are those the four for you that you really are looking at?
Tri-City.
Oh, Tri-City.
Yep,
I left Tri-City off the list. Yeah.
That's one where it's hampered me. I actually like there, and then even the Silver Bullet, the Bullet. I mean,
Nope.
up there we've had some wins, so it's like to get in Victory Lane. Like I said, I ain't got too many more years left, so every victory is going to be special from here on out.
The Silver Bullet, the place that Max built. That's right. All right, Greg, man, appreciate you making time for us. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks, guys. We'll see you this Saturday. See you, Rich.
Well, Zach, our first featured interview tonight is brought to you by the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club, the best deal in motorsports. And this gentleman was a winner this weekend, kind of. We'll get into all that in the ASA Southern Super Series. Johnny VanDoorn, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Hey, Rich. Hey, Zach. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Right out of the gate, we'll clear up what I just said. A lot of people didn't know it, but you had Bubba Pollard in a car, and he picked up his 40th ASA Southern Super Series win down at Mobile this weekend. Number one, how is Bubba getting in your cars all of a sudden? I know he's been bouncing around, and I've had conversations with him before. We'll talk about that later, but that had to make you feel pretty good too.
Yeah, Bubba came on to our cars about a month ago, and he's been a great asset to our program and a wealth of knowledge. And anytime you can get a driver of that caliber to run to represent your brand and run your chassis is a great honor. And yeah, it's really been an amazing start so far. He's had speed right out of the gate, but hasn't been able to, you know, get the finishes that he wanted out of the first few races. But yeah, the fourth race in, he clicked off a win this past weekend down in Mobile, and it was super exciting for everyone. And hopefully we can continue the momentum and keep building the relationship, and really continue the momentum down south is kind of the big thing. Is we haven't had a strong presence down in the south, and being short trackers, obviously you want to win everywhere, and especially the snowball derby. And I think he can be a big part of that piece of the puzzle.
And I was gonna actually mention that you guys kind of got the northern area, Midwest, pretty. I mean, you're pretty good at any racetracks you take race cars to, because you've been there enough, and you've been on them. Like Toledo, we'll talk about that in just a little bit too. But going down south, you've been intermittent. Carson's been good at Five Flags. He's been bad at Five Flags. This will help stabilize you instead of putting a young guy in it that you're teaching and learning. Bubba's got all kind of laps at those tracks down south that can really help you and your team.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really what it takes. You gotta have someone who's got a strong grasp on what's going on at the tracks, and has tons of laps and knows the tracks inside and out. And in going back to you guys' conversation when you were having with Greg with the sprint car before I came on, with racing in the state it is right now, being so competitive, the ability to just go travel to some track that you don't have a good notebook for, or have a lot of notes for, and expect to run competitive is super difficult in today's day and age. And it don't matter if you're sprint car racing, four-cylinder racing, sportsman, it don't matter. It's racing has never been this competitive. It's never been this tight. And to be able to utilize Bubba Pollard down in the South is going to be a great asset to our brand.
You know, a couple of weeks ago when this kind of came out that Bubba was going to be in some VanDoorn Racing Development equipment, it was reminded to me that this isn't his first stint in your equipment, and that first go really didn't meet anybody's expectations. Talk about wanting, I guess I'm going to put it this way, John, and then you break it down. Another chance with a guy like Bubba Pollard in your stuff. I think that Snowball Derby, I think it was the Snowball Derby that he ran one of your guys' chassis, and it just didn't materialize the way that anybody wanted it to. Redemption's the wrong word, but that's the kind of feeling that it has right now for him to be back in this stuff, winning your stuff, and it's kind of like take two. What just talk about those two things together.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2020, we were kind of really hitting our stride. We were winning a lot of big races and had a lot of momentum. And Bubba was kind of struggling a little bit at that point, and he wanted to run a race with us, run the Snowball at the end of 2020, and we put it together last minute. Went down, and it didn't go well, and nothing really materialized from that one race. And so it was kind of like no hard feelings. He's just going to continue doing what he's doing, and maybe we can revert back to it down the road. And so we kept the relationship, kept communication there, and we're just kind of waiting for the right time when it all lined up to be able to do it again. And I think some of it too is the racing gods just, they're going to make you put your dues in before they reward you. And if you're not okay getting your face kicked in and your teeth kicked in and getting gut punched, you're not going to make it long in this industry, because it is a brutal industry to be in, as far as competition goes. And you got to pay your dues. And so here we are, 5 years later, 4.5 years later, and kind of reverting back to it, and uh, got some good momentum going, and hopefully we can build upon it this summer. Keep things going, keep building the notebook, and hopefully get him that first Snowball Derby win this year.
So is the plan for him to continue to run the VanDoorn stuff through the rest of the season?
Yeah, yep. So that's all he has now is VanDoorn cars, and so we're working close with him every day, and getting his fleet of cars built back up. And I think he's gonna run a bunch up north here this summer between Berlin and I think he's gonna try to run some of like the Owasso races, the Masters of the Pros and stuff like that, and as well as continuing to run the ASA schedule. So yeah, we're wide open on the deal, and it's super exciting stuff.
Now I got to ask this question because you're in an interesting spot where you can tell me and answer this how you want. Are we in a win on Sunday, Saturday, Friday, sell on Monday market? How was the phone today when Bubba Pollard takes not that you haven't had great drivers run your stuff and absolutely talented race car drivers, but it would be like, it's like the Dale Jr. equivalent. It's just a big name in the sport wins in your equipment. How were the phones today?
Yeah, certainly. That is the old saying in the racing industry: you sell, or you win on Saturday, you sell on Monday. So certainly that helps. And the market's a little different today with with the way things work. But if we can continue to have success with Bubba, and he does carry a big following, certainly, and he's in a different market down in the South. I suspect could lead to good things for us and big things for our chassis, our brand. But at the end of the day, at the end, at the very most important thing of anything we do is, Butch and I are racers that just want to win races. And so, um, yeah, we got a business to run, but we want to win races.
John, when you and Butch embarked on this, what, 10, 11, 12 years ago now, did you think this quickly you guys would be spoken in the same breath as the other big late model chassis manufacturers in the country? Obviously, that's your goal, and you guys were smart coming into this, so it wasn't your first rodeo. But are you happy with where you guys are? Not content, but are you happy with where you're at now?
And I'm looking at this going, he's a racer. He doesn't think he got there quick enough.
Yeah, I mean, those are great questions. Yeah, we're coming on year 12 of this deal, and I think we're getting ready to build chassis number 216 or 217, and yeah, I mean, anybody that's competitive wants to be the biggest and wants to be the best, and I think Bush and I are at a good age. We're still young. I'm 37, he's 32, and so we're really kind of just starting to hit our stride, even though we've really had the business now for almost 12 years. So, where do we see things going, or how big or whatever? I mean, we just want to continue to work on race cars, build race cars, and manufacture a good product that can be competitive, and hopefully one day be the number one chassis manufacturer out there. We got a great group of guys that are in our shop, and we got a good manufacturing facility that we can produce cars at a quick pace and a high quality product. And um, I think if we continue have the momentum we're having, and keep working as hard as we are, hopefully we can start seeing reaping some of the rewards of that.
Coming up, we're gonna shift now. Yeah, you guys are gonna have your hands full in about 5 or 6 days. We're going down to Toledo Speedway for a really unique show, and you're bringing a bunch of your race cars down there. A lot of your drivers can win. I know that's one of your favorite racetracks, always has been. You've won there enough. Um, how excited are you to go back to Toledo with the drivers and cars that you're taking down there?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime there's a race at Toledo, you ain't got to twist my arm to go.
Do you consider dusting the fire suit off when you see Toledo on the schedule at all?
Yes, he
There,
does.
there's only two tracks I would consider coming back for a race for: Toledo and Kalamazoo. And yeah, there's just exciting racetracks, fun racetracks, drivers racetracks, and but no, I'm not doing that anytime soon. That's Stan is retired, and I'm keeping him in the closet for now. So
Right.
no, we're super excited to get down to Toledo this weekend and start the kick off the Jegs Tour, and sounds like there's going to be a good field of cars down there, and weather's looking pretty good for Saturday, and should be a great race. 100 laps Saturday afternoon, and in early April at Toledo. Don't get much better than that.
Now, I've got a couple of questions surrounding this that I want to get to in just a second. But before we do that, Rich, I would like you, as a proud board member of the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club, to tell us about the best deal in motorsports.
Yeah, so best deal in motorsports. So with a fan club membership, as a family, $25 membership, you can go into any fan club night, you and your family, and get in for free. 2 adults, 2 kids, right? And we have a junior program as well that you can get them involved with. If you have junior racers that can get in, we let them get involved, and we take them to the banquet, and they get plaques, and it's really, really a cool deal. First fan club night this year, Saturday, May 3rd at the Berlin Raceway. So if you can get your membership before then, Saturday, May 3rd, you can get into Berlin Raceway with just your membership card for free. Any race. I mean, I know what it costs to get into Berlin Raceway. I've been there enough. Get in for free. That's a cool deal. Cinco de Mayo night.
And it's a huge race. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So it's Cinco de Mayo night, so you can load up on that kind of stuff. And Reveal the Hammer Outlaw Super Late Models on a fan club night. Reveal the Hammer. Come on. So you'll be able to see them. The limited late models, 4-cylinder, the vintage racing modifieds. They'll all be there. Gates open at 2 p.m. Racing at 4 at Berlin on May 3rd. So if you want to join the fan club, make sure you get your fan club membership in prior to May 3rd.
Yeah, details at marfc.org. I think it's .org.
That's correct.
.org. Okay, John VanDoorn, our guest tonight. Where do I start? I guess I'm going to go here and pick on one specific driver. I had a chance to do, as we talked about earlier in the show, a track walk with Kyle Crump around Toledo Speedway. And the one thing he brought up multiple times is how excited he is to get to work with you again. Talk about that pairing and kind of what you guys are hoping to accomplish this year with the R&D Racing 131.
Yeah, super excited to get back with working with Kyle this weekend. And you know, more importantly, I think the bigger story of the whole deal is you know, I don't think it gets enough attention is you know, R&D Racing is Stan and Judy Rosen. And Stan just turned 86 years old.
Unbelievable.
He's almost no, he is. He's 50 years older than I am. I mean, that's incredible. And they're still doing it. They're still racing. They just built a brand new car. And so kind of getting everything all back together. You know, Kyle kind of got to get on the map 5-6 years ago when he started racing for Stan and Judy in the 131. So to
I
get
think 2021 was the magic year, right? With the Red Bud and
yeah, yep, and Battle at Berlin, and so to get Kyle back in that car, and I get to, you know, I'll be crew chief in that this weekend. It's pretty special occasion. We, you know, for 10 years we've been saying, you know, this is Stan and Judy's last year, and you know, and every year they keep coming back, but here they are 86 years old. It's just truly remarkable. So we're super excited to get down there. Kyle runs really well down there, and it's it's also pretty cool for Kyle and I to kick back off, because that's kind of where our last race together was Toledo in 2023 at the ASA race. That was the last one that we ended up working together.
so you've got
And
to
then
try to shake
last
the same
year, just
cobwebs
with
that he
different
does.
commitments and everything, it didn't work out. So Kyle and I got a good relationship and good work well together, good communication, and so hopefully we can debut this brand new.
Yeah, so I think there was a little gap there in the internet connection, but you and him have to try to shake the same cobwebs, because we talked about this, Rich, you and I. You know, last time Kyle was there, he destroyed a race car there. A little bit harder for him to shake those cobwebs, but I mean, do those things as a crew chief, do those live with you as well, or is it easier for you to shake those?
Oh yeah, I mean, racing's such short-term memory. Um, you know, you think of how much stuff has happened since then. Um, you know, that seems like almost like a lifetime ago. So, you know, it's kind of like throwing an interception. If you're a quarterback, you throw an interception, you get right back in the next drive, and you know, you're going out to score a touchdown. So, I don't think that would be an issue one bit. And you know, Kyle's pretty mentally tough, and I don't feel that'd be an issue at all.
John, I got a couple questions for you. The first one, since the time working with Kyle Crump, and I've always thought this, is he probably the most underrated or underknown best drivers in the country? I mean, you talk to people and a lot of people say, who is he? Who is he? But man, you've had some great drivers in your race cars, and he's as good as any of them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think if he's given the same opportunities that some of these other drivers are given, you know, he would have the results on the national level to show for it. And you know, unfortunately, racing being, you know, financially driven, you know, it is an expensive sports to do, and you know, he really hasn't been given an opportunity to race on the national level, to run an ASA deal, and maybe that still comes with the right circumstance or something down the road. But yeah, I would agree with that very very underrated in the grand scheme of things.
So you're going to go down there with a bunch of race cars, and you're going down with some of your mainstay drivers that you got: Blake Rowe, Chase Pinsino, like we said, Kyle Crump, and you're gonna send all these other guys down there, and your old nemesis is down there that feels like he half owns Toledo, Brian Campbell. Um, he's going to be he's going to be a force to be reckoned with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian is, that's one of his best tracks as well, and he's always tough every time he goes down there. And him and I had a lot of great battles down there over the years, and um, fully expect that he'll be tough to beat this weekend.
How do you balance the? I was just sitting here kind of smirking because we're loving on Kyle Crump and we're loving on Blake Rowe, and then you think about the Austin Hall and the Dylan Stovall and the other cats that have drove your cars that are just they are great race car drivers as well. Do you feel like a dad for all of these guys? They're all, oh, I love all my kids equally. I mean, how do you balance that? And because, you and Butch are the mainstays of this company, these cars are kind of your brainchild, and you've hired these other people to help you design them and build them. Um, how difficult does it get now that you've got more cars? You said 200 and some odd builds out there in this world across the country. How do you balance trying to make sure that you're feeding everybody as much as you can to be successful?
Yeah, I feel like that's been a big part of our business, of how we've been able to stay in this 12 years and continue to grow. Is our customer support is kind of the mainstay of our business. That's kind of the focal point. And we learned that early on, that if we were going to be in this for the long haul, that had to be priority number one over anything. And you guys are right. I mean, we have we're talking about Kyle and Blake and Chase, but there's a you know equally as talented drivers coming down, that run our cars as well. And so to put emphasis on one or the other being better, or anything like that, is, you start doing that, you're going to get in trouble real quick as far as a business goes. So we want every car there. We put as much effort into every car and every team, with the idea that we want everyone one to win. And that's been our mindset from very early on, and seems to work pretty well for us.
Perfect scenario, six wide finish at the line, all VanDoorn cars, photo finish.
Now we're talking. That'd be a dream scenario right there. I like where your head's at.
John, I got to ask you, just because we spent a lot of time and got to know Chase a lot last year. Kind of had the reins on him a little bit last year, holding him back, let him get his feet wet in super late model racing. This year, you kind of took the reins off and they're letting him go. How's he doing?
Yeah, Chase is doing a phenomenal job. He's run against some tough competition at the races that he's been running so far this year. The ASA circuit is, basically every race is a mini snowball derby. I mean, it's the best of the best, and there are no slouches at them races. So what he's been able to do early on, with what limited experience he has been incredible to see. And the he's just got to keep working at it, keep racing, keep getting the reps in. And when he goes to these tracks for the first time and he's racing against guys like Bubba or Cole Butcher, and these guys that are running extremely well right now, and they've run these tracks for 10, 15, 20 years, like running against Brian at Toledo. He's been running there since the early 2000s. You just got to put them reps in, and the results will come with time. But Chase has been doing a phenomenal job, and he's got a great group of guys behind him, around him. Zach Dunson and his whole crew have been doing a great job, and the whole Pincinel family have been great people to work with.
You mentioned, the coal butchers and the things of that nature, and it just kind of sparked this question for me as a guy who's not living, sleeping, eating, breathing template late model racing. I'm a fan, obviously, and I work in the industry, but there's a lot that I don't know. When you look at a Wilson Motorsports as the example I'm going to use, they have chosen a chassis manufacturer to build their empire around. Is that a spot where VRD would like to be? I mean, I know that you are a developmental company, but is there a goal in the company's 5-10 year plan that we get one of these kind of massive super late model
Super
teams,
team, yeah.
super teams to decide to run our chassis and we help them succeed?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that will come with time. Logistically being up in Michigan is a blessing and a curse. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I have no intentions of moving. I love where we're at up here. But when you look at it uh, logistically, it'd be like a country musician trying to make it in say Boston, Massachusetts, when every country musician's coming out of Nashville, Tennessee, type of thing. So with Wilson being down in North Carolina, it's a little bit of an easier feat for them to do, being where they're at, just purely out of the logistics. If they crash a car or something, they're right down the road from Hamke, who they use. And so for us to build a super team up here and build something down the road is obviously something we would love to do. And I think we have the pieces of the puzzle kind of starting to come together to be able to do something like that. And it all boils down to, we're Butch and I first and foremost are just competitive and just love winning races. And so I think we'll get there with time.
And the other part of that kind of occurred to me is you kind of have that, because to run a VanDoorn racing development car, the way it's been explained to me is it's kind of a prerequisite that you don't get to have a lock on your notebook. Because if something works for you, you guys want to know what made that car go that fast so that you can make every VanDoorn car go that fast. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fair statement. I mean, it is an open notebook. I mean, we send out notes before each race to all the guys that we work with, and what if we find something with a team that we're working with that works well. It's it's shared. There is no secrets. With what I go to the racetrack with, if another guy that has our that has our cars comes up and asks or has questions or whatever, but Butch and I are very open about sharing information and making sure our customers get the best resources they need to be able to go win.
Do you find any, and last thing, and I know we got to let you go. Do you get any pushback from your drivers about that, man, this is working for us. We're finally clicking. You put it on the big cup level and you think about Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Hendrick Motorsports, right? They're back and forth and back and forth and finding what's working. Do you get pushback from your drivers that are like, man, I kind of want to keep this tight to my chest?
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's just human nature. But it all comes around because nobody stays at the top for very long anymore in today's day and age. So, it might be an advantage for them, 1 week, but then if they're struggling down the road, and then they need the information, it all cycles through. And
Lest
for
we
the
forget when you didn't want to share.
yeah, yeah. Um, but no, for the most part, it goes pretty good.
Good. Well, man, big weekend, as Rich alluded to, Toledo Speedway. Just in that track walk I did with Kyle Crump, which you can find on the CRA channels. You talked to Blake Rowe, same thing. I know Dylan Stovall, Austin Hall. Those guys want to crack that win off too. Toledo's just a massive, massive place to get a template late model win. And oh, by the way, USAC Silver Crown's there as well. So it's just a huge day altogether. What does a win on Saturday mean for a guy like you who's out of the seat, crew chiefing, building chassis? How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Anytime you can pull out of Toledo Speedway onto a Lexus Drive and you got the trophy in your truck is you go in at Toledo, it's a special feeling, and I think a lot of that's just from growing up on the west side of the state, and before social media, before phone, iPhones and everything being so connected and so instant, in the early days there was always just this elusive um thing about Toledo was like it was a man's racetrack. It was fast and oh man, you go race Toledo, you got to be you got to be ready to go there. And I don't know if you're ready to go there. Like it's super fast. I don't know.
Like you got to be ready to
And
be almost like you got to be ready to leave there hurt. That something could happen, something big could happen.
yeah, it's a very intimidating place, even to this day when you roll in there and you see the banking and you see how fast they're going to the corner, and the corners are so long, you're in them for so long, and you're carrying a lot of G's around that place. But it's just an exciting, fun place to race. Always puts on a good show. I suspect they'll have a great crowd this weekend with USAC being there, and so hopefully the racing gods are looking over us and give us some good weather Saturday, and we can put a good show on for the crowd.
What a great conversation. We could go for another 30 minutes, but we cannot. So we'll shut it down. John VanDoorn, always a pleasure. And by the way, we'll take this opportunity to let you know that after Toledo on Saturday, we'll get our first look at the VanDoorn Parts Department Power Rankings here on Horsepower Happenings. So thank you for that too. And John, always a pleasure. Thank you for taking my late notice call today and coming on the show. It's really appreciated and great conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Rich. And we'll see you guys on Saturday.
All right, this is getting more exciting the more and more that we do this, Rich. It is time to take a look at the upcoming calendar of events as we close out another episode of Horsepower Happenings, and this is a big one. Obviously, talked about it quite a bit there with JVD, but let's go over it again. This Saturday, Rich, I know your heart is just a fluttering. Toledo Speedway kicks off on Saturday.
Yeah, home game for me. I don't get many of those, do I, Zach? Like
I
twice
know.
a year. But Toledo Speedway, the Jake Series All Stars Tour, and we're going to double this up, and the USAC Silver Crown Series, Zach. That's never been done at Toledo ever. Template body race late models.
I was gonna say the same thing. Let's dumb it down to what it truly is. Sprint cars, which I know Silver Crown cars are not sprint cars, but open wheel, big booty Judies, and template late models on the same card.
Yep, 100 laps each. It's going to be great. I think we're going to have a great crowd because you're going to get both fans there to be able to see the other divisions that they don't normally see. So I think it's going to be great. I think the pits open around noon. First green flag flies at 3 p.m. Tickets are available now, have been available, and still are available at ToledoSpeedway.com.
And cars set to, as you said, hit the track at 3 o'clock. Again, it's Easter weekend. Temperatures aren't going to be extremely high. So the good news is that it's a daytime green flag, Rich. You're not going to have to sit there and freeze your buns off.
Nope, we'll be done when it's still light out. That's the beauty of it.
Yep. ToledoSpeedway.com, as Rich mentioned, for those tickets. Check out the social medias, by the way. Entry list was revealed today. Shall we talk about this entry list, Rich? And I'll kind of go over it for you because I know that you didn't get it. You got it late. 21 cars on the official entry list that was released today for the Jeg Series All-Stars Tour. Couple of names: Chase Pinsino, Jeff Versek, Austin Hull, Jimmy Tucker, yes, of course, Dylan Stovall, Kevin Cremonesi, Chris Shannon, Michael Simcoe, Greg Stillwell Jr., come on, let's keep it going, Brian Campbell, Logan Bearden, Blake Rowe, Keegan Sabilo, Kyle Crump, and then some joker named Stephen Nasse is on this entry list as well.
Just slid in there late this afternoon. I knew that was going to happen last week, actually, but I was just waiting for it to show up officially so we could talk about it. But yeah, he's going to get in a Brandon Oakley race car, I guess, and turn some laps at Toledo. I think he's been there before. I don't think he's ever won there. I don't think he's ever won at Toledo before. But man, look down that entry list, Zach. I'm talking 6-8 guys that can at least out of that field that can win that race.
And just to round out the rest of the 21, Tony Dager, Justin Schroeder, Jeremy Miller, David Leoff, Avery Demland, And that's all 21. I think I said everybody else. Michael Simcoe, just in case I didn't. Logan Bearden, I said that. So yeah, so there you go. Out of 21 guys, I'll do this. Could win it, 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 could win it. Why not? Could win it, could win it, could win it, absolutely could win it, absolutely could win it, absolutely could win it, could win it. How many was that? 12?
Enough. And I know, and you gotta put Brian Campbell right up there at the
Oh,
top. I mean,
that was the absolutely could win it.
absolutely could. That was the absolutely could win it. Yeah, I mean that it's not only his favorite racetrack, but he may have won that race last year if not for the mechanical difficulties he had
Right.
at Toledo. And I think whenever he gets a chance to go run Toledo, Brian Campbell kind of sits up on the seat and holds on that steering wheel a little tighter, and he's ready. He loves it.
I'm with you. I would have liked to have seen what would happen if that fire didn't break out last year in the Jegs Tour race.
Exactly.
I think he and that one car have a whale of a show. And don't forget, Blake Rowe was right there at the end too. So was Kyle Steckley. If that 47 car runs to the end, we might be talking about him still being the winningest driver in Jegs Tour history, not Cody Coughlin.
And you got another guy that's showing up at Toledo, and he didn't know how to lose last year. The times he got in a race car, Kyle Crump.
Yeah.
He finished that season with like 4 straight wins, I think, to finish up 2025. And he's no longer up in the spotter stand. He gets to hold a steering wheel. And 2021 Red Bud 400 champion, bring him to Toledo. Kyle Crump will be ready to go as well.
Look to the CRA social media channels. Kyle and I took a lap a couple of weeks ago around Toledo on foot, talking about that racetrack. Remember, the last time that Kyle was there, he destroyed a race car in the turn one wall. Absolutely destroyed it. And the time before that, he lost to Blake Rowe coming out of turn 4 in what was the final Glass City 100 at that a race that you called, Rich.
Yeah, that was that. Well, when the wreck, that was the inaugural ASA Stars National Tour Glass City 200.
That's right.
When that happened, him and Michael Simcoe got both tore up down there in turns 1 and 2, separate incidents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think and Kyle Crump is part of Blake Rowe's only Glass City 200 win.
That's right.
In an infamous way. But I think
so I was just saying, go to the CRA channels, find that track walk with him, because it is good. He dives into some good stuff. It is a lot of fun.
And I think he thinks that place owes him a little something.
Yeah.
And it may. It
now
just may.
This is the bummer when you think you schedule races in April around here and you'll be fine. No. I'm not going to be able to be at Toledo, which is fine because you're going to handle it. You and Jonathan are going to be fine, and I'll pull up my Racing America subscription or my Flow Racing subscription or my Track TV subscription to take it all in.
Any of the above.
I'll be up at Crystal Motor Speedway this weekend with the Great Lakes Super Sprints presented by Perfect and ARP. The Michigan
season opener
is underway this Saturday, Rich. Going to be great. That track was so racy last week. I am very excited to, as we talked with Max earlier in the show, get the 25, 30 cars that are probably going to come up on Saturday to take on Crystal. Really looking forward to that.
Answer me a question. I watched a little bit of the video that I found on Crystal. Is the track still a little dusty?
Well, they put that new clay in, so they
don't want to put too much water on it too quick. Maybe
you don't want to float it off of there, and that stuff is a little bit dry, out of the gate. So don't worry. There's a little rain in the forecast this week. You don't want to flood the place, though. You got to be careful. And I think we'll be good to go on Saturday. So.
Yeah, I think there's a happy medium. You flood the place, and you end up getting too much character in it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And if you don't put enough on it, it looks like it's really dusty, kind of like Attica always does. Attica just seems some of the best races you watch at Attica are when it looks really dusty.
Yeah, it'll be good Saturday. No mini wedges, so the first racing of the night will be 7:00 at Crystal Motor Speedway, unless something changes. There's been some conversation that maybe that'll change just to make sure we get the show in. But until that happens, 7:00 racing Saturday at Crystal Motor Speedway. So that'll do it for our program tonight. Want to say thank you to Johnny VanDoorn, Max Stambaugh, Gregg Dalman, of course, for being on the program. For Scott Menlin, who pays the bills, Rich France, my co-host, I'm Zach Heiser, and we'll talk to you same time, same place next week right here on Horsepower Happenings.